They showed up at my door the same day I signed the papers, black SUVs, clipboards, that cold, practiced smile of people who think they own your life. Not a welcome to the neighborhood, not even a handshake, just a demand. You will not use the lake, and you certainly will not control access to the docks. I stood there, boxes still stacked around me, paint fumes in the air, and laughed because I thought it was a joke. It wasn't. These weren't just rules. This was war. They claimed the HOA had historical rights to the waterfront. That my property, the one I emptied my savings for, was somehow incomplete, non-conforming, a special case. But they were missing one critical detail: the deed. The actual legal document that listed every right, every boundary, every hidden power I now held. And buried in that paperwork was a clause so explosive, so utterly devastating to their entire authority, that when I finally uncovered it, their faces went pale. Because I didn't just own a piece of the shoreline, I owned the docks. And without my permission, no one, not the president, not the board, not even the entitled couple who'd hosted exclusive lake parties for 15 years could set foot on them. What followed wasn't just a dispute. It was a reckoning. Fines, surveillance, a secret meeting held in the dead of night, and one public confrontation that left the entire neighborhood picking sides. But here's the thing they never saw coming. I wasn't just a new homeowner. I was the key to everything they thought they controlled. And I wasn't about to stay quiet. What would you do if the moment you moved in, they tried to take it all away? I didn't move to Willow Creek Estates looking for drama. I moved there because the house had a wraparound porch that caught the morning sun, a backyard big enough for my daughter to run through without hitting a fence, and a view of the lake that made me forget, just for a second, how much I'd sacrificed to get here. 5 years of double shifts at the hospital, late nights filling out loan applications, a divorce that left me with little more than my license and my pride. This house, this little slice of peace, was supposed to be the fresh start we deserved. Just me and Lily, finally breathing. The neighborhood looked like something out of a catalog. Cobblestone driveways, flower boxes under every window, the kind of place where people waved from their porches and left homemade pies on each other's doorsteps. The HOA even sent a welcome basket artisanal soaps, a 10 gift card to the local cafe, and a glossy brochure titled Living Beautifully Together. I believed it. For the first 3 days, everything felt normal. I unpacked boxes, planted lavender along the walkway, took Lily kayaking on the lake, something the listing said was available to all residents. No one stopped us. No one even blinked. But on the 4th morning, I noticed the signs. Not the official kind. Not yet. It was the way the woman across the street, the one with the perfectly coiffed silver bob, paused her gardening to watch me unlock the gate to the shoreline. How her eyes lingered a second too long on the kayak as I dragged it down the slope. Then came the email. Welcome, Sarah. We're thrilled to have you in the community. Per HOA Bylaw 7C, all waterfront access must be coordinated through the Recreational Committee. Unauthorized use may result in fines. Fines? I stared at the screen, half laughing. Fines for using the lake? The one the realtor swore was community shared? The one in my backyard? I didn't reply. Not yet. But that night, as Lily slept and I sat on the porch with a glass of wine, I noticed something else. The lights on the docks, the ones I'd seen families using just days before, were off. And the gate at the end of the path? It had a new lock. One I didn't have a key to. It started with a letter. Not an email, not a warning. A letter crisp white envelope, official HOA letterhead, hand-delivered and left like a curse on my welcome mat. It read, Violation Notice. Unauthorized use of community waterfront. Fine, $250. I stared at it like it was written in another language. Unauthorized? I'd kayaked once. I hadn't touched a motorboat. I didn't even leave a paddle on the dock. Just me and my daughter, gliding across the glassy water at sunrise, laughing as a heron took flight. But to the HOA, that was an act of war. I called the management office. Calmly, reasonably. I asked to see the bylaws. I wanted to understand. The woman on the phone name tag said Deb, community liaison, spoke in that slow, condescending tone reserved for children and the mentally impaired. Sarah, the lake is a privilege, not a right, and access is governed by strict scheduling. You were not on the roster. Then why didn't anyone tell me? I asked. You were supposed to request access. It's in the welcome packet. I dug through boxes until I found it a 40-page document buried under moving blankets. And there it was, in tiny font, on page 27. Waterfront usage, subject to prior approval, seasonal availability, and board discretion. But here's what they didn't say. The schedule was full for the next 3 months. And to request a slot, I had to submit a form in triplicate 2 weeks in advance, including purpose of use, expected duration, and number of guests. You needed permission to go fishing. I laughed. Then I got angry, so I went anyway. Not to provoke, not to rebel, but because Lily had been looking forward to it all week, and because something deep inside me refused to accept that I'd traded freedom for a mortgage. I took her out on the kayak Sunday morning. No music, no guests, just us. By noon, another letter was taped to my door. Second violation. Fine. $500. Non-compliance may result in lien placement or legal action. Lien placement. On my home. For using the lake. That's when the surveillance started. I noticed the security cart, the little white golf cart with the HOA logo idling near my driveway at odd hours. Once, I caught the silver-haired woman from across the street, Eleanor. I later learned standing at the edge of my property, clipboard in hand, counting the number of times I used the path to the shore. I wasn't imagining it. They were documenting me. Then came the fines for landscaping. I'd planted native wildflowers along the slope, low maintenance, drought-resistant, bee-friendly. The HOA called them unapproved ground cover and fined me $150 for non-conforming vegetation, I argued. I sent pictures of the brochure that said, "We encourage eco-conscious gardening." They replied with a new rule. All flora must be pre-approved by the Aesthetics Review Board, no exceptions. Next, they targeted Lily. She'd put up a handmade for sale sign lemonade, one on the corner of our lawn. Within an hour, it was gone. I found it in the trash behind the HOA office. When I confronted Deb, she smiled. Temporary signage violates Bylaw 12, F. It creates visual clutter. It was cardboard and crayon, I snapped. Rules are rules, Sarah. That night, Lily asked if we'd done something wrong. My heart cracked. The harassment wasn't just about control. It was about humiliation, about making me feel like an outsider in my own home. So I fought back the only way I knew how. I requested all HOA records, financials, meeting minutes, bylaws, everything. They sent me redacted PDFs, missing pages, and a bill for $387 in administrative fees. I filed a formal complaint with the State Housing Authority. 2 weeks later, I got a call from the HOA president, a man named Richard Vale, who lived in the biggest house on the cul-de-sac, complete with a private boat slip, conveniently exempt from the public schedule. His voice was smooth, polite, but laced with threat. Sarah, we'd hate to see a lovely family like yours struggle with the community dynamic. These fines can escalate, but if you cooperate, if you respect the process, we can make things easier. Easier, as in, stay quiet, stay small, stay off the water. But here's what he didn't know. While he was busy playing neighborhood dictator, I was digging. And deep in a forgotten county archive, buried in a 1983 land transfer document, I found something that didn't just change the game. It ended it. Because the docks? They weren't community property. They were mine. And without my permission, not a single HOA member could touch them. Not Eleanor, not Deb, not even Richard Vale. But they had no idea yet, and I wasn't ready to tell them. The town hall meeting was supposed to be routine. That's what the email said. Community update, budget review, recreational calendar. But I knew the truth. This was my trial. The room was packed, not with concerned neighbors, but with an audience. Folding chairs filled to capacity. Eleanor front and center, arms crossed, wearing that same crisp linen blazer like a badge of honor. Deb scribbling notes like a court stenographer. Richard Vale at the head of the table, polished and smug, adjusting his cufflinks as if he were about to preside over a corporate merger, not a neighborhood dispute over kayak access. They called my name third on the agenda. Homeowner violations Sarah Mitchell. Multiple waterfront infractions. Accumulated fines. 650. The room hushed. All eyes turned to me. I stood slowly, clutching a manila folder, thin, unassuming, but heavier than a brick. I didn't start with anger. I started with a question. Who owns the docks? Silence. Richard blinked. The HOA maintains the docks for community use. No, I said, calm, clear. Who owns them? He hesitated.